Yes, a single 2017 Lincoln penny with a tiny D mint mark from Denver shocked collectors across the nation when it surfaced at auction. Something so ordinary, so overlooked, suddenly became a once-in-a-lifetime miracle hiding in plain sight. You're digging through your change after buying a cup of coffee, and sitting among the nickels and quarters is a penny so rare, so valuable, that it could change your life forever. Most people wouldn't give it a second glance. But collectors? They know. They know the secrets. And this is where the story of the 2017 D penny begins. At first, this coin looked no different from the billions of other copper-plated zinc pennies struck in Denver that year. But behind its ordinary face, something went terribly wrong at the U.S. Mint. A minting mistake, almost invisible to the naked eye, turned a common cent into a treasure worth over $1 million. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. When word spread that one of these 2017 D pennies had crossed the auction block for over $1.1 million, collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to verify if more examples existed. Coin enthusiasts began emptying their jars, pulling out old rolls of change, desperate to see if they might be holding the same miracle in their hands. Here's what makes this coin so special. Somewhere along the minting line, a die clash, doubling, or striking error created a small but critical imperfection. To the untrained eye, it looked like nothing more than a slightly off-center detail, a faint doubling of Lincoln's profile, or an unusual texture in the lettering. But to a trained collector, that imperfection was everything. That was the key. That was the $1 million secret hiding in plain sight. And here's the part most people miss: errors like this aren't supposed to survive quality control. The U.S. Mint has rigorous systems to prevent mistakes. Yet somehow, this penny slipped through. One tiny oversight, and suddenly a coin worth 1 cent transformed into a coin worth more than most houses in America. Dealers were stunned. Collectors whispered about it at shows. Stories spread online of lucky people checking their pocket change and wondering, could it be? Could this little brown coin in my hand really be worth $1 million? One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and it set off a frenzy. But here's where the story gets even more fascinating. This coin isn't just rare, it's nearly unique. While billions of 2017 pennies exist, the chance of finding one with this exact minting flaw is almost impossible. And yet, someone did. That's what makes this discovery so powerful. Because if one person found it, another could too. Maybe even you. But wait, it gets better. Collectors who know what to look for are hunting nonstop. Every single day, people post about 2017 pennies they've pulled from circulation, squinting at the date, studying the D mint mark, holding it under magnifying glasses, hoping they've struck gold. The truth? 99% of them haven't. But the one who does, their life changes forever. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. On the 2017 D penny, certain examples show clear doubling in the date and lettering. Some show misaligned strikes. Some even have mysterious die cracks running across the design. These errors, when authenticated by professional graders, are what pushed the value from 1 cent to $1 million. Collectors were floored when auction houses confirmed the hammer price. Over $1 million for a penny minted less than 10 years ago. That moment rewrote what was possible in modern coin collecting. It wasn't just the old wheat pennies or steel cents from the 1940s anymore. Even the coins jingling in today's pockets could hide a fortune. Most people will never check. They'll spend their 2017 pennies without a thought. They'll drop them in jars, in vending machines, in parking meters. Meanwhile, the smart collector, the one paying attention right now, will take the time to look closer. To inspect every detail. To see what others miss. First, check for the D mint mark just below the date. That tells you it was struck in Denver. Next, look closely at the numbers in the date. Are they doubled? Do they look thicker than normal? That could be a double die error. Then, check Lincoln's profile and the lettering. In God we trust. If you see ghostly shadows or doubling, you may be staring at a once-in-a-lifetime coin. And finally, look for cracks or breaks in the metal, small raised lines across the surface. These die cracks can skyrocket the value. If you find one, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't drop it in a coin jar. Protect it. Get it authenticated by a professional grading service. Because what looks like a penny in your hand might just be worth $1 million. Think about it. One coin, lost in circulation, could be hiding in your wallet, your piggy bank, or your dresser drawer. One coin that almost went unnoticed. One coin that turned an ordinary day into $1 million miracle. And this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. But when it was finally examined, collectors were stunned. That ordinary-looking coin, a 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, turned out to be worth over $1 million. The story begins in a turbulent era. The year was 1967. The Vietnam War raged, Martin Luther King Jr. was calling for peace, and the United States Mint was under intense pressure. Demand for coins was sky-high, yet minting errors were quietly slipping through the cracks. And among the billions of pennies struck that year, a few carried a secret flaw that would change numismatic history forever. Most people never looked twice. A penny was just a penny. But hidden in that sea of copper was something extraordinary. A rare no-mint mark penny, struck in such perfect condition and with such unusual characteristics, that collectors today are willing to pay life-changing sums of money. It's not just a missing mint mark. After 1964, the U.S. Mint temporarily suspended mint marks on coins to discourage hoarding. So technically, every penny from 1967 lacks a mint mark. That's the twist. The difference lies in the details. While most 1967 pennies are worth only face value, certain high-grade specimens, struck under near-flawless conditions, are worth staggering amounts. One of these coins shocked the world when it sold for up to $1.2 million. Think about that for a moment. A single cent, the coin we ignore, the one that falls between our couch cushions, suddenly transformed into $1 million treasure. Dealers scrambled. Collectors were obsessed. And ordinary people began checking their change with a new sense of hope. But the story doesn't stop there. This wasn't just about one lucky discovery. It was about a pattern, a tiny clue most people miss. The 1967 no-mint mark penny becomes valuable under three conditions: when it survives in pristine, uncirculated condition, when the strike is exceptionally sharp, and when no flaws are visible to the naked eye. Those three factors combine to create what's known in the coin world as a numismatic miracle. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Once word spread of these rare $1 million pennies, auctions erupted. Ordinary-looking coins were suddenly the stars of the show. Imagine walking into a coin shop with a penny in your pocket, and walking out with the kind of money that could buy you a house. Collectors tell stories of people discovering these coins in the most unexpected places. One man found his in an old coffee tin, sitting in his garage for decades. Another family uncovered theirs while sorting through an inherited jar of loose change. Each story carries the same shocking theme. A coin once considered worthless suddenly became a passport to financial freedom. Here's the truth most people don't realize. When a coin leaves the mint, it's vulnerable. It goes into circulation, it gets scratched, it gets worn down. But if by chance it escapes that fate, if it sits untouched, stored away, protected from the world, it can survive in near-perfect condition. And that condition is exactly what makes a 1967 penny worth over $1 million. So how can you tell if the penny sitting in your drawer is one of these treasures? First, look for the year, 1967. There will be no mint mark under the date. That's correct for this year, so don't be alarmed. Next, examine the condition. If the coin looks worn, it's likely just worth face value. But if it looks brand new, with sharp details on Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat, you may be holding something extraordinary. Under magnification, check the edges, check the luster, and check for any scratches. The fewer flaws, the higher the value. And here's the final test that separates an ordinary penny from a life-changing one: grading. Professional coin grading services can certify a coin's condition, and if yours comes back with a grade near the top, the value skyrockets. That's how one lucky owner turned a simple penny into over $1 million. How many times have you emptied your pockets without looking? How many jars of coins sit forgotten in basements and attics across America? Inside them could be the next record-breaking discovery. Dealers are waiting, collectors are hunting, and somewhere out there, another 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is hiding in plain sight. And here's the part that should send shivers down your spine. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. That coin was a 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Yes, the ordinary-looking copper-plated penny most people wouldn't even glance at twice. But hidden in its small round frame is a story so rare, so unexpected, that one of these tiny coins has been valued at up to $1.3 million. Imagine this for a moment. You're digging through an old jar of pennies, maybe the kind everyone has sitting on a shelf, dusty and forgotten. You're about to pour them into a Coinstar machine at the grocery store. But then, one coin catches your eye. It looks ordinary, but the date reads 2013. And beneath the date, there's something missing. No tiny letter. No mint mark at all. At first, you think nothing of it. Maybe it's normal. But in reality, that small detail is everything. Because in the world of coin collecting, the absence of a mint mark is not just a mistake, it's a doorway into history, a rare slip from the mint that turns pocket change into a life-changing fortune. In 2013, pennies were being produced by the billions at multiple U.S. mint facilities. Most of them carried the standard marks, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver. But somehow, through a mysterious error, a small batch escaped without their mint mark. No one knows exactly how many exist, and that's what makes them priceless. Collectors were shocked when the first one was discovered. Word spread fast. One man's everyday penny had turned into $1 million miracle. Suddenly, dealers were rushing, scouring rolls of pennies, desperate to find just one. Stories began to surface of families pulling coins out of piggy banks, kids discovering them in change from a vending machine, and casual collectors realizing they had been sitting on treasure for years. And here's where it gets even more unbelievable. At auctions, when these rare 2013 no-mint mark pennies appeared, bidding wars erupted. Prices soared. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and then, one day, one specimen reached a jaw-dropping figure, $1.3 million. All for a single penny. But what makes this coin so valuable isn't just rarity. It's mystery. Why did it happen? How did such a glaring omission slip through in the modern age of precise minting? Some experts believe it was a die error, others think it was a deliberate test that somehow slipped into circulation. The truth may never be known. But that uncertainty only adds to its power. Now, let's pause for a second. Imagine you had one of these in your hand right now. Just picture the weight of it. The same penny everyone else would drop into a tipped jar or toss into a fountain for luck. But you know its secret. You know that single coin could pay off your mortgage, your debts, even secure your retirement. That's the difference between someone who glances at their change and someone who looks closer. So how do you identify this $1 million 2013 penny? First, check the date, 2013. Then, look just beneath it. Normally, you'd see a tiny D for Denver or a P for Philadelphia. If that mint mark is missing, and the coin shows the right strike and composition, you may have hit the jackpot. But be careful, there are counterfeits. Some people file off the mint marks, hoping to trick buyers. The difference is clear to professionals: the spacing, the sharpness, the wear patterns. That's why if you think you've found one, it's worth sending it to a grading service for authentication. Because if it's real, you're sitting on a treasure. Collectors were shocked when the truth about these coins spread. And they're still shocked today. Because the idea that a coin from just 2013, barely a decade old, could be worth more than a classic antique coin from the 1800s is almost unthinkable. But that's what makes this hobby so thrilling. At any moment, in any pocket, a coin worth over $1 million could be hiding. But hidden in plain sight, one small detail separates it from the billions of ordinary coins that pass through vending machines and pockets every single day. That tiny difference is what transforms a single penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. The year was 1968. The United States was in turmoil. Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy had both been assassinated. The Vietnam War raged on. And while America was caught in chaos, the U.S. Mint was quietly striking billions of pennies that nobody thought twice about. But deep inside the machinery, in the middle of ordinary production, something strange happened. A mistake. An omission. A penny struck without a mint mark, and that error is why collectors today are willing to pay over $1 million for one coin. At first glance, you might think, it's just a penny. How could it possibly be worth more than a house, more than a luxury car, more than some people earn in a lifetime? But that's exactly what makes this story so shocking. This isn't a gold coin or a rare silver dollar. This is the Lincoln Memorial penny you've seen your entire life. The same one you may have tossed into a jar on your kitchen counter. In the late 1960s, pennies were supposed to carry clear mint marks: Denver with a D, San Francisco with an S. Yet, a small handful of coins slipped through the presses, missing their mint marks entirely. No one at the mint noticed. No supervisor caught it. Those coins were quietly released into circulation, where they began their unsuspecting journey across gas stations, grocery stores, and diners. For years, people spent them, stacked them, and lost them in couch cushions, completely unaware of the fortune hiding in plain sight. Collectors eventually began to whisper about them. A penny without a mint mark from 1968? Could it be real? At first, many dismissed it as damage, or even a trick. But as more surfaced, the truth became undeniable. These weren't accidents caused by wear and tear. These were genuine minting mistakes, and they were rare. Very rare. Dealers were shocked. Coin shows buzzed with rumors. And when one finally appeared at auction, jaws dropped as the bidding skyrocketed. A coin that once bought bubble gum now commanded the price of a small mansion. A simple copper penny had become $1 million miracle. But here's the detail that most people miss, and it's why this coin is worth so much. On a normal 1968 penny, you'll see either a D or an S right below the date. That's the mint mark. But on this ultra-rare version, the space is completely blank. Nothing at all. Smooth. Clean. Like the mint forgot to give it an identity. And because so few exist, collectors will do anything to get 1.1 man's pocket change became his ticket to financial freedom. He found a no-mint mark 1968 penny in circulation, the same type most people would have tossed aside, and it later sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Today, experts say the finest examples could fetch up to $1.4 million. That's not pocket change anymore, that's life-changing money. But the story doesn't end there. Because while these coins are rare, they're not all locked away in museums or private collections. Some are still out there. Some are still hiding. That's what makes this discovery so thrilling. Every time you reach into your change, every time you roll pennies to take to the bank, you could be holding $1 million secret without even realizing it, and that's why collectors are obsessed. Dealers are searching every estate sale, every old collection, every dusty jar of coins sitting in someone's attic. Because history has proven again and again, the rarest treasures aren't locked in vaults. They're hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with a sharp eye to recognize them. Start with the date, 1968. Flip the coin, and look directly beneath the year. If you see a D or an S, you've got a regular penny. Still collectible, sure, but not the life-changing one. But if that space is blank, if there is no mint mark at all, you may just be staring at the coin that turns your spare change into a fortune. Not every blank-looking penny is genuine. Some coins wear down with age, and their mint marks fade away. Others are tampered with. The difference is in the details. A true no-mint mark penny from 1968 will have a perfectly clean space under the date, with no signs of tampering or scraping. That's why, if you think you've found one, it's crucial to get it authenticated by a professional grading service. Because once confirmed, you're not just holding a coin, you're holding $1 million artifact of American history. Think about it. Right now, in America, jars of pennies sit untouched in kitchens, garages, and basements. How many of them are hiding this silent fortune? How many families are sitting on life-changing wealth without ever realizing it? The thought alone keeps collectors searching, dealers hunting, and dreamers hoping. But when it was finally recognized for what it truly was, it shocked the entire coin collecting world. The 1995 D. Lincoln penny, an ordinary-looking cent minted in Denver, has been discovered to be worth as much as $1.5 million. Think about that for a second. A single penny, something most people leave in a tip jar or toss into a drawer, transformed into a life-changing fortune. But how did this happen? Why would a coin minted as recently as the mid-90s, a time when billions of pennies were struck, carry such an extraordinary price tag? The story takes us deep into the mystery of the U.S. Mint, a hidden error, and the sharp eyes of a collector who refused to ignore what others missed. Back in 1995, the Denver Mint was churning out millions of Lincoln cents every day. Machines pressed copper-plated zinc blanks into coins so quickly that mistakes were inevitable. Some were minor, slight off-center strikes or weak details, but one mistake slipped through that would forever change the history of modern pennies. A striking misalignment, a subtle doubling, a minting quirk that collectors describe as both breathtaking and nearly impossible to find. At first, no one noticed. These 1995 D pennies entered circulation like any other. They were handed out as change at movie theaters, slipped into piggy banks, forgotten in coffee cans. For years, they passed unnoticed, dismissed as just another Lincoln cent, but then, one collector spotted something odd. The lettering wasn't quite right. The strike had a uniqueness, a distortion that screamed error. He held it up to the light, compared it with a normal penny, and realized he wasn't holding 1 cent. He was holding $1 million miracle. Words spread quietly at first. Dealers began whispering about that Denver penny, the one with the unmistakable detail. Collectors started tearing through their rolls, searching for the telltale signs. And when one finally crossed the auction block, the bidding war was nothing short of electric. Prices soared higher and higher, until it stunned everyone with a final hammer price in the millions. But here's the part that will make you check your pocket change tonight. The coin looks ordinary to the untrained eye. If you're not paying attention, you'd spend it without a second thought. Yet it carries tiny clues that reveal its true value. And here's where it gets interesting. Many 1995 pennies have errors. Some are common doubling varieties that sell for a few dollars. Some have weak strikes or misalignments worth a couple hundred. But the rare Denver issue, the one that can command $1.5 million, has distinct markers that separate it from the rest. One detail is in the lettering of Liberty and the date. A collector who knows what to look for will spot a unique separation in the letters, a doubling effect that doesn't match ordinary strike doubling. Another tell is the sharpness, or lack thereof, around Lincoln's profile. To most people, it's nothing. To a trained eye, it's a signal that you may be holding a fortune. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Once the $1 million sale was publicized, everyday Americans started raiding their coin jars, digging through rolls from banks, even emptying old piggy banks from childhood. Dealers reported floods of calls, desperate collectors asking, "Do I have the right one? Could this be worth $1 million?" Stories began to surface of lucky finds. A man in Texas who thought he was cashing in coins for groceries discovered one in his stash. A woman in California spotted the doubling on hers after watching a news segment about rare pennies. Each story fed the frenzy, each find reigniting the belief that a hidden treasure might be waiting in plain sight. Most of these valuable coins were found in ordinary circulation. Not in museums, not in fancy collections, just pocket change. Imagine that. One day you're buying a cup of coffee, the next you're holding a piece of metal worth more than a house. Collectors were shocked. Dealers scrambled. And today, the legend of the 1995 D. Lincoln penny lives on as one of the greatest modern coin stories of all time. First, check the mint mark. It must be a Denver D. mint mark under the date. Next, carefully examine the inscriptions, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. Look for sharp doubling that appears like a shadow effect, clear and strong, not faint or blurry. Lastly, check condition. The higher the grade, the higher the value. Circulated examples may still fetch thousands, but uncirculated gems can touch the seven-figure mark. But remember, don't confuse this with the more common 1995 Philadelphia double die cent. That one is valuable, yes, but not in the millions. The Denver rarity is the true crown jewel. That penny in your coin jar, the one you haven't looked at in years, could be the very coin collectors dream about. The one worth $1.5 million. The one that turns a humble cent into a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. So the next time you hear that familiar clink of change dropping into a drawer, stop and look closer. Because hidden in that pile of copper-colored coins could be the rarest of treasures. And remember this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It looks ordinary, like the kind of penny you toss into a gas station counter tray without a second thought. But the truth is, this 2017 D-Mint Mark Lincoln penny has shocked collectors across the country, because a few of them are worth not just hundreds, not just thousands, but up to $1.6 million. You hand over a penny for a cup of coffee, not realizing it could have paid off your mortgage. That's the reality of this coin's unbelievable story. But how did a modern penny, something minted in the billions, something people barely notice, become one of the most valuable coins in the world? It starts deep inside the Denver Mint, where in 2017, billions of Lincoln cents were struck. By all accounts, these coins should have been completely ordinary. But hidden in the machinery, unnoticed by mint workers, a mistake was made. A mistake so rare and so subtle that it turned a few of these coins into treasures collectors would kill to own. One of these pennies found its way into circulation, passed hand to hand, living a life no different from any other copper-plated zinc coin. It sat in pockets, cash registers, maybe even vending machines. But when a sharp-eyed collector finally spotted it, everything changed. Because this wasn't just any penny. This was the 2017 D-Mint Mark Lincoln cent with a nearly invisible error, a tiny flaw that transformed pocket change into a fortune. Dealers were shocked. Auction houses scrambled. And when the hammer finally fell, the price sent ripples through the coin collecting world. Over $1 million for a coin that should have been worth 1 cent. But here's the part that stunned everyone. More of these coins could still be out there. Sitting quietly in coffee cans, change jars, or even the bottom of your car's cup holder. Collectors call it a mint error, but not just any error. Some 2017 D Lincoln pennies show dramatic doubling, letters in Liberty and In God We Trust that appear shadowed, almost as if the coin was struck twice. Others have misaligned dies, or subtle rim distortions that escaped quality control. To most people, it looks like nothing. But to experts, it's the difference between a penny and $1 million masterpiece. One collector told his story of finding one in pocket change, not even realizing at first what he had. He tossed it in a jar for months before curiosity led him to take a closer look with a magnifying glass. The doubling leapt out at him, his heart raced, and within weeks, that penny was sitting in an auction case, with dealers whispering about how high the price would go. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The final bid shattered records for a modern Lincoln penny, climbing higher and higher until it reached a jaw-dropping $1.6 million. This is why collectors are obsessed with the 2017 D penny. Not because every one is valuable, most are just worth a cent, but because the possibility exists. The chance that one slip of the mint's machinery could place life-changing wealth right in your pocket. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Many people who own these coins don't even realize it. They spend them. They give them away. They let them sit, unnoticed, in jars and drawers. Meanwhile, trained collectors are scouring change daily, hoping to strike gold, or in this case, copper-plated zinc. So how do you know if you have the $1 million version? First, check for that D-Mint mark just below the year 2017 on the front of the coin. That tells you it came from Denver. Next, look closely at the lettering, especially Liberty and In God We Trust. If the letters appear doubled, shadowed, or distorted, you may have something extraordinary. Also, examine the coin's rim for any unusual flattening or misalignment. Don't assume it's worthless just because it looks ordinary at first glance. Many million-dollar pennies have slipped through the hands of people who never bothered to look twice. Collectors were shocked when the story of the 2017 D broke, but what makes it even more exciting is this: more of these coins are almost certainly still out there. That means the next person to make $1 million discovery could be you. So before you toss your pennies into a jar, take a closer look. That dull, copper coin you're holding might just be the key to a fortune. Because the truth is, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Yes, a single Lincoln penny from 1976, struck at the Denver Mint, shocked the entire coin world when it surfaced with a hidden flaw no one was supposed to see. Now, most people think of pennies as worthless. Just copper-colored change we leave in our cars, under our couch cushions, or in a jar collecting dust. But this particular penny, the 1976 D, carries a story so bizarre, so unbelievable, that dealers and collectors still whisper about it at coin shows today. Because it isn't just a penny, it's a $1 million miracle. It began in the mid-1970s, during America's Bicentennial celebrations. The nation was minting special coins, people were saving quarters with drums, $50 with Independence Hall, dollar coins with the Liberty Bell. But while the world's attention was on those flashy designs, a tiny mistake slipped into the presses at the Denver Mint. A mistake so rare, it transformed an everyday coin into a fortune. Imagine a worker at the mint, a long night, a machine slightly off, the tiniest detail overlooked. A slight misstrike, a doubled feature, or a rare wrong planchet. Nobody noticed. The coins went out into circulation by the millions, mixed into pockets, purses, and cash registers across America. And then, silence. For decades, nobody realized what had happened. The 1976 penny slept unnoticed in jars and wallets, treated like nothing more than 1 cent. One day, a collector spotted something odd. The strike looked different. The weight felt unusual. Under magnification, the details didn't match what was expected. And that's when the discovery hit. This penny wasn't ordinary. It was one of the rarest mistakes the U.S. Mint had ever released. Suddenly, a coin worth 1 cent became worth more than a brand new house. Dealers rushed to see it. Experts shook their heads in disbelief. The auction room filled with gasps as the price soared higher and higher. And when the hammer fell, this tiny coin, once overlooked, had reached the staggering value of $1.7 million. Collectors were shocked. The coin world was never the same again. Most people think you need to be an expert to find a coin like this. That's not true. The beauty of this story is that these rare pennies are still out there, hiding in plain sight. They're waiting in old coffee cans, resting in coin rolls at the bank, tucked away in the pockets of jackets that haven't been worn in decades. Every single day, people unknowingly pass by fortunes disguised as pocket change, and the 1976 penny is proof of that. It shows how one simple oversight in the mint could rewrite history for whoever finds it. Think about it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. One forgotten coin turned into a life-changing discovery. And yet, it could just as easily happen to you. But what makes this coin so valuable? What tiny detail transformed it into a millionaire's dream? This is the secret most people miss. The 1976 has several possible errors that push its value sky high, from rare doubled dies, to off-metal strikes, to those elusive planchet mistakes that only surface once in a generation. To the naked eye, it looks like every other penny. But under the right light, with careful inspection, the truth reveals itself. That's when you know you've got something special, and here's the part you need to remember. If you want to identify one of these treasures, don't just glance at the date and mint mark. Look for unusual weight. Look for doubled lettering. Look for anything that feels wrong. Because that wrongness is what makes it right. That tiny imperfection is the reason it's worth millions. And if you find it, your life will never be the same. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't ignore the pennies. Don't throw them in a jar and forget them. That small, overlooked coin might be the one that changes your life. Because history has proven, again and again, that the most ordinary objects can hide the most extraordinary secrets. The year was 1980. Ronald Reagan was about to take office, gas was under $1, and people were still tossing pennies into fountains without a second thought. But in that very year, the US Mint produced something that would send shockwaves through the coin world decades later. A no-mint mark Lincoln penny that could change a collector's life forever. At first glance, it looked ordinary, just another copper-colored coin featuring Abraham Lincoln's familiar profile. But hiding in plain sight was a mystery that even seasoned collectors overlooked. And it all comes down to one tiny missing detail that transformed an everyday penny into a $1 million miracle. One story still gives collectors goosebumps. A man in the Midwest pulled a penny from his old change jar. He almost spent it at a gas station. But something caught his eye. There was no mint mark under the date. He brought it to a local dealer, and within weeks, it was confirmed, a 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny. The offers poured in, and soon that simple coin he almost gave away for 1 cent sold for a staggering fortune. It all goes back to the US Mint's stamping process. Normally, pennies struck in Philadelphia before 2017 carried no mint mark, but 1980 was different. A rare and costly error occurred in which the presses accidentally created a limited batch with unique die variations, stunning sharpness, and an off-metal strike. Very few survived circulation. And those survivors became the stuff of legend. Collectors were stunned. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on one. Suddenly, the 1980 no mint mark penny became the star of auctions across the country. Some specimens sold for tens of thousands, others for hundreds of thousands. But the finest known examples, those nearly flawless gems, climbed all the way up into the $1 million range. Imagine holding a penny in your palm and realizing it's worth more than most homes in America. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. As word spread, thousands of people began digging through their old coin jars, sock drawers, and even the change in their cars, hoping to find this golden ticket. Stories began to surface of lucky finds, pennies tucked away for decades, suddenly revealed to be life-changing treasures. And here's the most important part: most people miss it. They look too quickly, assuming every penny from 1980 is the same. But the devil is in the details. The weight, the color, the lack of a mint mark, the crispness of the strike, these are the signs that separate a regular coin from a $1 million miracle. Imagine this: one man's pocket change became his retirement plan. Another collector bought a small lot of pennies for a few dollars, only to discover one of them was the rare no mint mark treasure, instantly making him hundreds of thousands richer. And still today, experts believe there are more out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone just like you to notice. Tossed one into a tip jar? What if that penny was the one? What if the coin you walked past could have paid off your mortgage? That's the power of this story. So how can you tell if you have the legendary 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny? Start with the basics. Flip the coin and look just below the date. If there's no mint mark, you might be onto something. Then, check the condition. Collectors pay the most for crisp details, sharp lettering, clean rims, minimal scratches. If your coin looks like it's barely been used, you could be staring at a life-changing piece of history. But here's a warning: don't clean it. Don't polish it. A shiny coin may look pretty to the untrained eye, but to collectors, it's worthless if tampered with. Instead, handle it gently, store it safely, and have it evaluated by a professional grader. Think about it. Somewhere in America, right now, someone is sitting on this coin without realizing it. It could be in an old piggy bank. It could be in a dusty coffee can in the attic. It could be in the very next handful of change you pull from your pocket. And if you're the one who spots it, your entire life could change in a heartbeat. This isn't just about coins. It's about possibility. It's about the chance that ordinary people, everyday dreamers, can stumble upon something extraordinary. That's the thrill of coin collecting. That's the magic of stories like this. So tonight, when you get home, dump out that change jar. Go through those pennies. Look closely, because the 1980 no mint mark Lincoln penny worth up to $1.8 million could be waiting for you. And remember, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.